Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found, and of course, taped live at the Twitch, twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. We were going to take today off because it's Labor Day, but luckily CM Punk had an explosive media scrum, a bizarre, rambling, just eviscerating media scrum last night, and then apparently a fight went down, and the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega are not too happy right now. So here we are.
Let's just jump into it, I suppose.
Yeah, dropping this episode today. We're going to talk about Worlds Collide in this episode too.
The Raw preview. There's only a little bit preview to talk about thus far, but in terms of the Punk stuff, there's a lot. So we talked about CM Punk's tirade during his post All Out media scrub throughout our All Out recap last night. But in case you missed it, haven't watched that video yet, but clicking on this one first. Here's kind of the Cliff Notes version. One of the first questions that was asked to Punk involved Colt Cabana, Scott Colton.
Actually, what happened was Punk brought that up. He would at the very beginning of the media scrum. There's no audio before it, but he's like, do you do improv? Do you know Scott Colton? Are you his friend? Are you a journalist?
I just assumed that was in response to a question.
Oh, maybe it was. The actual media scrum audio you hear, maybe that was the case, because it's bizarre because
it starts with the screen, the
logo.
Kind of logo, the waiting screen, if you will. Then Punk starts talking underneath it, and then they go to the video.
Yeah.
Anyways, whether it was a response to a question or he brought it up, whatever.
Colt's brought it up.
He went off on how it's no babe business who he's friends with, and then pointed the finger at AEW executive vice presidents. I don't know if he meant all three of Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson, or Kenny Omega, or some combination thereof. Anyways, he blamed them for spreading rumors about Punk's culpability in getting Colt Cabana moved from AEW to Ring of Honor, saying, quote, "The fact that I have to sit up here because we have irresponsible people who call themselves EVPs and couldn't fucking manage a target, and they spread lies and bullshit and put into the media that I got somebody fired when I have fuck all to do with him, want nothing to do with him, do not care where he works, where he doesn't work, where he eats, where he sleeps." Later, Punk says, "If you're an EVP, you don't try to mid your top babyface trying to get your niche audience that's on the internet to hate him for some made-up bullshit rumor. Really pisses me off, stepping on your own dick, trying to make money, sell tickets and fill arenas, and these stupid guys think they are in Reseda."
Now, Reseda also famously is the place where PWG was located, and the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega had legendary matches.
Yes, and so then also Punk blasted former AEW champ Hangman Page, and Punk, going off script in his kind of return promo on Page is kind of what led to this current snowballing of this scenario.
It was kind of interesting because it was a none too smooth transition from putting the EVPs on blast to transitioning to Hangman Adam Page. He just sort of pivoted and said, "What did I ever do in this world to deserve an empty-headed fucking dumb fuck like Hangman Adam Page to go out on national television and fucking go into business for himself? I'm trying to run a fucking business, and when somebody who hasn't done a damn thing in this business jeopardizes the first $1 million gate this company has ever drawn off of my back and goes on national television and does that, it's a disgrace to this industry. It's a disgrace to this company. Now we're far beyond apologies. I gave him a fucking chance and it did not get handled, and you saw what I had to do, which was very regrettable, lowering myself to his fucking level." These transcripts for the above come from Wrestling Observer and Wrestling Inc. Now, he goes on a little bit later to talk about what... So there's a lot to take in there in terms of him trying to run a business and Hangman jeopardizing the
which
house.
Would seem to insinuate that Punk was considering not doing it.
Is that your takeaway from that? That
could
could be.
Because that would be the only way that the thing would be jeopardized. That match would be jeopardized is if Punk chose, because of what Page said, to not participate.
Okay.
Or is it a situation where Page maybe went backstage and is like, "I'm not dropping the belt to this guy. I want this match.
I don't
it's
think
one of the two situations.
I think it's as weird as like, okay, do you remember, this is a weird analogy, but I'm going to make it anyways because it's sort of my takeaway. I don't know if it's anything that dramatic. I think it was in the substance of it that the story that Punk thought they were telling
All right, yeah.
was not going to generate the interest because he went off script, even though it's in line with the story that they had just told with Eddie Kingston where the locker room doesn't like Punk.
Well, and they referenced that during the MJF thing too.
Right, yes, exactly. And what the analogy I was going to make was when Hogan had said when Warrior came to WCW, Warrior bringing up that he had already beat him would have jeopardized the rematch. And I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah. No, that enhances the rematch.
That enhances it. And I thought that Hangman bringing this up, number one, as a consumer, I'm sitting there like, oh, they're continuing on this story of the back of the locker room not liking Punk. And you had made a good point back then too. Hangman feels even he's wilting at the pressure and coming up with reasons why, oh, now I'm justifying my anger at Punk because I'm trying to protect the locker room from him. I thought it just was in line with everything that we had already seen.
That's why we heard that Punk was upset about something Paige said. I was confused as to what, because like in the one promo that Paige dropped when Punk wasn't there, nothing really seemed out of line there from my perspective. It's same with the face-to-face. Everything seemed to be in line with the story they've been telling with Punk in the previous feuds.
And so it just didn't seem like that big of a deal. But later on, so that to me, I was like, it didn't line up. It didn't make a lot of sense. But then later on, Punk said something kind of interesting about how he really took issue with Hangman Adam Page. In an interview, he had said, I don't really take advice from veterans. I don't ask them questions, which I don't think even is all that out of line. I know there's a grand tradition in wrestling about veterans teaching the young kids, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But Hangman's like, I don't really do that. Maybe he's a visual learner. Maybe he's an introvert. Maybe he prefers watching tape. Maybe he doesn't like the awkward situation of asking somebody, of bothering them, wanting to put them out or inconvenience them by.
And I read the quote. I didn't see, if there was video, I didn't see it because I also don't know the context of how that statement was delivered. Was he kind of being self-deprecating?
Yeah.
We don't know exactly. But anyways, go ahead.
Oh, well, no, that was my point. I don't know why that house would have been jeopardized based off of what Hangman Adam Page said. It could be one of the things that's a bit more dramatic, like you're talking about, you're speculating on.
Yeah.
My speculation is simply that he thought that it was derailing the story they were supposed to tell. And to be honest with you, that promo was bizarre in that neither of them seemed to be on the same page. And in which case, if you're Tony Khan, aren't you like, hey, what is this promo going to be about that you're about to, to open the second hour with, or the first hour, whatever it was?
Yeah, exactly. We'll get more on, because someone asked Tony Khan about what was going on in the locker room and his relationship to the EVPs. We'll get to that in a second. Let's get to this first. So, as you'd probably expect, the Elite didn't take too kindly being put on blast publicly, apparently, because a source told Fightful Select that the Young Bucks and Omega were so livid about Punk's comments that they, quote, were threatening to walk out over the comments. Fightful had also heard that one of the Young Bucks had been in contact with talent outside of AEW, and indicating that many of the rumors heard about Punk and the frustration around him were true, close quote. That was supposed to be a direct quote. I forgot to say quote. And then Sean Ross Sapp mentioned during Fightful's Post All Out podcast that there was unconfirmed rumors at that point of a, quote, skirmish between some members of the Elite and Punk and Ace Steel. Wrestling Observer's Brian Alvarez stated on the last night's Wrestling Observer Radio that multiple sources told him that there was a, quote, altercation with Punk and the Young Bucks. Dave Meltzer referred to it as a melee, and then Dazen Steven Muehlhausen reported on Twitter, quote, sources, there was an altercation between CM Punk and the Young Bucks early Monday. The Bucks confronted Punk about his comments at the scrum. It did get physical, with Punk throwing punches at least one member of the Bucks. A number intervened to separate everyone. It'll be interesting to see Tony Khan's response, assuming this is true, that there was a fight backstage and there was punches thrown. Just a few weeks ago, there was an altercation between Eddie Kingston and Sammy Guevara that led to Eddie Kingston getting suspended for a couple weeks. Now, if there were punches thrown, and there are no suspensions doled out, is there a double standard?
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
there would be.
Yes, that would be a pretty massive double standard. There'd definitely be some favoritism there, which Tony Khan has never been shy about expressing favoritism when he's hugging people and calling them the plus delta. We've been pretty open about that, and we've had no problems, poking fun at that. We sort of have an idea as to where he stands on the idea of people not liking each other backstage. Seems to be all about it backstage. Last night, Tony Khan took a question regarding the drama in AEW during the scrum. These transcripts were via Fightful. He says, that's a dicey situation. It's funny because this took place. He had Punk ate his muffin and said what he had to say and then left. And then he had Keith Lee and Swerve sit in the muffin crumbs, and then they left.
Yeah, and there was video of a security guard during that particular portion of the scrum rushing out of the room because of that melee, evidently.
Well, and
if
then
you want to connect the dots, sure.
Yeah, maybe he just had to take a shit. I don't know.
Maybe.
He had explosive diarrhea at that particular moment. Tony Storm gets up. She made an offhand comment, which I assume was a work. Said something like, Thunder Rosa says she's injured, as opposed to Tony Storm, or Thunder Rosa is injured. She says Thunder Rosa says she's injured. So when she gets back, we'll figure all that out. I'll beat her, et cetera, et cetera. So then Tony Storm leaves, and it leaves Tony Khan on his own. Now,
Jericho comes out.
Jericho came in too. He had some interesting things to say. Eventually, it was Tony Khan on his own. Notably, a lot less time spent up there by himself than usual with these things. Yes. He sort of took what might have been, I guess, some of his pent-up rage or emotion over this whole thing and redirected it towards the WWE, claiming that he has a lot more money than Jim Crockett Promotions did back in the day, and he's not going to be, now I'm paraphrasing, bullied the way. He's not going to fucking take this shit, meaning the competition, because he had noted that for the first time, this All Out was not going to do the pay-per-view numbers of the last All Out, and it didn't, and it's not going to build on what Double or Nothing did.
Yeah, because there were two other shows that preceded his
WWE.
Over the weekend. He blames WWE.
Right.
Like, I don't know what he expects. He's in the wrestling business. There's competition. I don't know what he expects.
I know. I agree. It's like, okay, you're not going to take this fucking shit. Well, then when they run Extreme Rules, I guess you can run an AEW show that day.
Like hours before it if you want to.
You can do a Battle of the Belts head on.
No, I'd understand if he's upset about the tampering stuff. I would get that.
Absolutely.
He would have every right to be upset that would be contacting wrestlers he has under contract. Even if this is, I won't say harmless isn't the right word, but even if it's just a call like, hey, when's your contract up?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Which might seem harmless, but at the same time, I don't know about the legal definition of tampering. I don't know if you could do anything about it, but if you're inquiring about the contract status of a wrestler signed to another company, it's not a good look.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. Yeah, I agree. I don't know. You're right. I don't know the boundaries of all that.
Same. And again, it's all, little hints of rumor. We don't know the full extent or context of these conversations.
But okay, let me ask you this, because he's about to talk about, how back in the 90s, back in the 90s, tampering was way more rampant than it is now, where, people are, hey, when's your contract up? Back then, they used to have DDP reach out to his buddy in WWF, to Chris Jericho or whatever the situation was. I mean, they used to, that was massive amounts of tampering back then. Yep. I mean, that's just talk about norms in the wrestling business.
Contracts seem more like just kind of ideas than actual legally binding documents,
Yeah. So anyways, Khan says, that's talking about the ongoing drama backstage. Says that's a dicey, because he's up there by himself, and then people sort of felt free to be like, Tony, what's going on right now? What's happening?
What's the deal with you and the EVPs? That's generally what this question was.
Right? Yeah. He says, yeah, no, that's a dicey situation. Like he's part of the scrum, like he's part of the meeting. Oh my God, that's a dicey situation right there. And it is contentious and frankly challenging. But I have to do what's best for the sake of the company, and everybody you're talking about are great professional wrestlers with big reputations, and some of them have been around from the beginning, and some have been around for about a year now. The fact is, these are people, well, it's Punk, and then before that, the Bucks. The fact is, these are people that drive revenue, and they help create jobs for everyone. It's no secret that a lot of professional wrestlers don't like each other, but I think now it's probably more out in the open than it's been in a while. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing for the pro wrestling business, given what the product we produce is. It involves tension and people wanting to fight, and people know there's a lot of people around here that want to fight each other, and I don't think that's terrible. Wait, pause, stop there. Yes, it is. You guys are essentially a traveling theater troupe where the actors they're not actually supposed to want to, like, if you're talking about Shakespeare, perhaps stab each other.
Yes.
Poison each other. They're not supposed to actually want to do that.
No. I mean, it's not everybody's going to get along.
Right.
I think we all understand that. People are going to have differences of opinion. People are going to butt heads. At the same time, if what's going on is deeply rooted as it seems, you're talking about a fractured, divided locker room.
Now, you mentioned earlier the Eddie Kingston, Sammy Guevara thing. Mm-hmm. That to me seems kind of normal, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, let's establish certain rules, and then there's a miscommunication. Sammy goes out there, says you're a fat piece of shit. They're able to correct it by taking it off the broadcast, but Kingston's not happy about that. It seems like they just sort of naturally would be personalities that would clash. Kingston says, I'm sorry. They get over it. They get through it. Now maybe you can make some money with that because it seems like they got on the same page. That seems like a very minor, normal thing that you could expect in the world of pro wrestling. Absolutely. This is different. These are guys in positions of power, and you got this guy who the head of the company refers to as, like, you know, his plus delta, his big money maker. Mm-hmm. This is a lot bigger than that.
Yes, this is more significant, and you risk dividing the locker room over something like this if you let it just kind of play out and don't step in and be a leader in the situation and try to find some common ground between everybody involved.
So he continues on. He says, you might say, what if it doesn't manifest itself in a match right away? Talking about this creative tension. He says, and people want to fight each other. He says, in the 90s, which is arguably the all-time business peak and interest peak and the general peak of pro wrestling in many ways, the late 90s and early 2000s, there was a big group of pro wrestlers who did not like each other and didn't get along. A lot of times they weren't in the same companies and they would rib each other, and it wasn't going to produce a match. We produce wrestling matches, and there are a lot of matches between people who don't get along and don't like each other, and it's not always an easy road to get people in the ring, but when you can get people into the ring to settle their differences, it could be exciting.
I mean, there's no settling of actual differences in the ring because there's a choreographed fight.
Right. Yeah.
So what differences, if anything, you're potentially putting them in a situation where they're not supposed to actually settle their differences in the ring, and then they maybe do.
Yeah. Now, when we're talking...
And then you get a situation where the walls of kayfabe break down, and you're seeing people actually settle scores with each other in the ring. I, for one, don't really enjoy that in my professional wrestling.
If it's a situation where you've got Eddie and Sammy and they've gotten through it and it was a relatively minor thing, then, hey, you know what? I'm all about that because they can mine that.
Well, it's not an open wound, too.
Right, yeah. This is... I don't know that I want to get to the point where it's like, now at this point, Hangman Adam Page and CM Punk, that ain't on the... I don't think that's on the table. If he's able to get them back... Look, ideally... Let's bring it down a notch. Ideally, he's able to maybe bring in a mediator, maybe get Mark Henry or Chris Jericho
or Paul White
Paul White to sit these guys down and say, "Hey, but man, these are like leaders of the company. He made these guys EVPs because Tony Khan was essentially creating a new company off their popularity." And then he brings in CM Punk. And I don't know if this is, I hope it's a fixable situation, but
I mean, the way Punk describes it, saying it's beyond apologies now.
I mean, and again, you know, when he talked about MJF, at that point, I'm like, okay, well, he's in a feud with MJF. He always seems to have liked MJF. Like, they worked really well together on screen.
Yeah.
You have to wonder, okay, is he now working this situation? When he talks about MJF and the grass isn't always greener on the other side, it's greener where you water it, and MJF likes to shit where he sleeps. You have to ask yourself, okay, at that point, because he's in a feud with MJF, is that the case?
Or also, I guess the flip side to that is, I would not have been surprised if the initial plan was for Punk to eventually drop, if he hadn't gotten hurt, to carry the belt through the summer and eventually drop the belt to MJF during the fall, whether it be at Full Gear or Grand Slam or wherever that might be. And he could have been upset by MJF's backstage behavior because it would have jeopardized,
that's true,
in his mind, what could have been a major feud to something that would have made money.
Yeah. And who knows? Maybe Punk really likes Wardlow and thinks that MJF, who knows? It seems like there is an element of, he was actually telling how he really felt about MJF's behavior during the contract situation. But yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, the whole thing seems like a mess, and I'll be honest with you, like, there's nothing that Tony Khan has said or done that makes me think he's the guy to get this back on track. It might have to be a Jericho, even a Moxley, Adam Cole, perhaps, because Punk seems to like Adam Cole. He's best friends with the Elite. Maybe he can all get him in. Hey, guys, Chug's here. Yeah. Set up a LAN party, and we can all take our aggressions out on the Halo Infinite battlefield.
That could be, winning team. They get their way.
They get their way.
I don't know. But the amongst people who pay attention to wrestling news, especially, this media scrum has completely overshadowed everything that happened at All Out.
Totally true. Which is funny because I saw somebody note, I think it was Trevor Dame on Twitter, noted sort of MJF did the same thing with Wardlow.
And now he's the victim of getting his return or his huge moment overshadowed, but with all this stuff. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, no, this totally 100,000% overshadowed. I mean, everybody's just talking about the media scrum now. That's what they're. I mean, look, you wanted to steal the buzz of the weekend. CM Punk went out and did that. Maybe he saw All Out and was like, God, this is kind of a bloated show where not a lot happened. Time to bring the buzz back around home. I don't know.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
This was nuts. It was absolutely.
It was. It absolutely was. Because when we were doing the recap last night, obviously we had a chance to watch the scrum itself. We were just reading kind of quotes and the quotes. You could tell there was anger behind him. But watching it, especially, you get the full context of the quotes. It's something else. It's not anything I would have expected out of one of these media scrums.
No, not at all. Now, it was funny when we were going live for our actual review, like our chat was lighting up with, oh my God, Punk's burning it down. And they were not kidding.
No.
He's just sitting there chomping on that muffin, just going off on every topic he wanted to. And there was an air of sort of like, I don't know, like you look at Tony Khan and you just want the guy to sack up and be like, hey, let's shut this down for now.
Exactly.
But it's like he seemingly does not have or he has no desire. I don't know. I don't know what the deal was. I'm not in his fucking head.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, it's if Punk is his plus Delta, the guy that can guarantee pay-per-view buys and whatnot, like maybe from his perspective, Tony Khan's perspective, he's like, I see what he's doing here. I don't want to rock this boat.
It's so not. You might be right. He might be thinking that. That's not a sustainable business model.
It's not at all.
And if you look at the numbers back in July of 2021, and I forget when Sean broke the story about CM Punk coming back. Yeah. If it was in July or not. But the numbers on Dynamite were pretty fucking good. They were getting, there was that span of time when they were getting over 1 million for like weeks at a time. And I don't know. And look, I know Khan he's an analytics guy. So he probably looks at merchandise, maybe speed of ticket sales, because all their shit sells out.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine between ticket sales, merch, pay-per-view buys.
Yeah.
Those are probably the metrics that he could point at and say, well, this is the difference Punk is making as opposed to TV ratings, which have been, for the most part, relatively consistent before and after Punk showed up. All 900,000-ish for most weeks with the occasional million here or there.
Yeah. But it's not like they're doing in that respect. Like, dude, their pay-per-views were always selling out. Mm-hmm. And again, I don't have specific CM Punk numbers that Tony Khan might think he has. I mean, he can look at maybe looking at the initial burst of interest. Mm-hmm. You're looking at that the Friday night the first dance. You're looking at the t-shirt sales. You're looking at all this stuff that CM Punk brought with that initial burst. But did it translate to lasting growth? And if you look at the numbers before Punk came in and you look at the numbers now, and I know he was injured for a couple of months, but he's been there beyond that. I don't know. The bottom line is you cannot put one person above your company.
Yep.
You can't do that. And when you have MJF, who's a proven ratings draw, the Young Bucks have been a proven ratings draw. I don't know, probably Kenny. I'm not sure. But and so much talent on your roster that you could, with some effort, the Acclaimed, seemingly, given crowd reactions, are probably on their way if they become a featured attraction. If they win those tag titles at Grand Slam or whatever.
Yeah.
If they become they could become a ratings draw sooner than later.
Yep. We've seen evidence that Jade Cargill is a ratings draw.
It's got to be a team effort.
Yes.
You cannot put this one person above everybody else, especially when you were doing pretty damn good without him in the first place.
I know.
So
I know it's on him to step up and do something about this, other than take the opinion. Well, when people are backstage don't get along, don't like each other, people want to see that play out on screen. Not really, because the couple instances we have see it play out on screen in terms of promos and stuff has been awkward as all get out.
Yeah.
And just leaves people scratching their head and people are talking about this stuff as opposed to what's actually happening on your show.
On the flip side of things, you also want to sit down with your EVPs and make sure they're not leaking info. Make sure they're not going and pushing their agenda, if that is the case.
Yes, totally, 1,000%.
Because Punk does have, Tony Khan has said, no, Colt Cabana's situation had nothing to do with CM Punk. And Punk, and that was the main point of contention with Punk. That was like what started off last night. That his relationship with Colt had nothing to do with what happened with Colt's job in AEW. Mm-hmm. If that's true and a false narrative is being pushed, that needs to be nipped in the bud too. That is a legit concern.
That's a massive problem. Absolutely.
It is. At the same time, don't you say, hey, what you did at that media scrum is completely not the way to handle this thing.
Yeah. It is. It is not the way to handle it at all.
And the Hangman stuff is completely over like the line. I mean, that's like, it's one thing you might have a legitimate bone to pick about, the EVPs leaking info to the media. If they're doing that, you have a legitimate bone to pick. But then to pivot so quickly to Hangman Page and your problems with him, where he went mildly off script in a promo, and then you're calling him a fucking empty-headed idiot because he doesn't want to take advice from people.
Yeah, that's too much.
That at that point, it's like you should be shut down just for that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, the fact that Tony Khan didn't step in and I mean, at one point when Punk started talking about all this initially, after kind of like his first long answer, Tony Khan was like, "Hey, that's on me." Because I don't know if maybe someone asked a question prior to that before the audio feed started. Maybe that was the
situation. Yeah, maybe that was it.
Because Tony said, I said no comment to that question. I should have responded so you didn't have to.
Yeah. But Punk seemed to make it clear to Tony Khan that he wanted to talk about it.
And if Punk felt like his name was dragged through the mud through all this and wanted to defend himself, and give his point of view.
Yeah.
Is this how I would have handled it? Absolutely not.
Right. Yeah.
But to say, hey, if he had come out in response to this question or brought up himself and said, hey, it's nobody's business who I'm friends with. I had nothing to do with Colt Cabana's job situation. And if anybody tells you otherwise, they're lying. If he had just said that,
yeah,
then it wouldn't be such a deal.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
It wouldn't have been such a deal.
Yeah, but that dude went up there and just had a complete airing of grievances.
Yes.
And it's like, if you have a problem with the EVPs, fine. But then you bring Hangman Adam Page into it, it was like way over the line, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, buried in all the drama of the weekend and the Clash at the Castle and the whole
and all the
AEW
other
stuff
wrestling, yes,
was a nice little NXT show called Worlds Collide, where they finally went out, took NXT UK to the woodshed, put it out of its misery.
Yeah. I mean, the closest thing we got to NXT UK getting a victory here was Pretty Deadly winning the undisputed tag titles, even though they'd been on NXT Prime for several months.
They happen to be British, yeah. And yeah, they're former UK champions. That was a pretty surprising win right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of any idea that UK is gonna hold their own, no. Mandy Rose retained. Braun Breaker, or I guess Mandy Rose unified the titles. Braun Breaker unified the titles. I really honestly hope to God. I think Blair Davenport's going to probably stick around at NXT. I think she's terrific, and I think they could see her as a future champion. Maybe the person to take that title off Mandy Rose even, because kind of there's really nobody else. And she has to go to Maine at some point.
You'd think so.
I would love to see Tyler Bate on Maine. He has been in UK now for, 5 years, 6 years,
since
or
the
whatever
beginning.
it is.
Yeah, since the
very beginning. We've seen Gunther go. We've seen Pete Dunne go. It's time for Tyler Bate to go to main roster, not spend more time in developmental in NXT. We don't need to see that. He needs to be on main roster like yesterday.
Absolutely. He and Braun had an outstanding match, and it was by far.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any argument.
Yeah.
The best Braun Breaker match he's had since his debut.
Yeah, absolutely.
We all know that Tyler Bates is an exceptionally talented wrestler, a hell of a wrestler.
Yeah.
But that match that they put together and put on was really, really good.
Yeah.
And even though I was, thoroughly and nearly 100% convinced that Braun was going to retain, by the end of that match, I'm like, oh, man, they could give this to Tyler. They had that great video package as Tyler's making his way.
It was really terrific, yeah.
For his entrance with all kind of like hearkening back to previous wins and paying respect to the legacy of the NXT UK title.
Plus, Braun is ready for main roster. He sort of came in ready for main roster. I know he's not there as a character, but
the character is still rather ill-defined.
But here's the thing, dude. It's been a year. It's been a year, and there has not been any movement on that. Just move him up, put him in a story, and then you can start building character there. They seemingly are not interested in doing an NXT. He ain't going anywhere. Triple H seems to like him. Just put him up there and just let him see if he can swim as he is. I just don't know what more. When I say he's ready for main roster, I just mean he's been there a year. He ain't doing anything else. You might as well send him up. And so I figured, okay, maybe he's going to go up to main roster. Tyler Bate could win this given that video package they had at the beginning, but seemingly that was just sort of a memorial service for NXT UK.
Yeah. It felt that way. Let's just kick things off. It opened up with a match at high expectations for, and it delivered. Ricochet versus Carmelo Hayes. They gave these two a ton of time. Awesome athletic bout. Just a constant game of one-upsmanship.
Yeah.
That one bit where they both did the springboard.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of lariat, and they hit each other midair.
That was great.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Cool. So the finish saw Ricochet hit a spin kick, a poison Rana on Mello. That Trick gets on the apron. Takes a swing at Ricochet with North American title. Ricochet ducks that. Hits Trick with a springboard drop kick. But that distraction is enough for Mello to get his wits back. Ricochet goes for the 450. Mello evades that and rolls up Ricochet to get the win to retain the North American Championship.
I know we talked about this in private. I'm just going to bring it up here on the show. Are we just this week? Can we just officially move our NXT review to the Friday show and
sure, we can do that.
NXT UK? Yeah, we've talked about it. And in terms of loading up the AEW recap with an NXT recap afterwards, it's just too much. And so we're going to start doing the NXT recap in replacing the NXT UK recap on the Friday show from now on. I know what that means. It's going to be like a couple days later than usual. So be it. I'll be honest with you. I was on the verge of just saying, let's stop reviewing NXT because it's just, I have a good time reviewing it, but it's like, I also feel like we could be spending our time doing other stuff because not a lot really happens there.
No.
And it feels like we're reviewing it as an obligation, but I'm fine doing it on Fridays. I do get a kick out of reviewing it because there's so much unintentionally funny stuff there, and you and I get kind of goofy with it. Same way with Impact.
So it kind of fits in that respect.
It kind of fits. So there's a programming change for you guys.
There we go. Next, we had the tag title unification bout. The NXT tag champs, Creed Brothers, taking on Gallus, taking on the NXT UK tag champs, Briggs and Jensen. Pretty deadly. So earlier in the day, Roderick Strong was attacked in the Performance Center parking lot. Again, one of the most dangerous places in the entire state of Florida. He's laid out. He's busted open. He's bleeding. He gets put in an ambulance. He's not there. And the kind of story they have through this whole match, especially that Wade Barrett was really pushing, is wouldn't it be great for the Creeds if they had someone that could help them out that has a lot of experience? I mean, given the turn that happened at the end, I don't know how much that's going to relate to Roderick Strong getting beat up in the parking lot or not. Whether one has to do with the other, but I guess we'll find out. So this elimination tag bout.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on the Roderick Strong getting beat up? Who beat him up out there?
Well, as soon as I saw it, I didn't watch the pre-show. I started watching this, 5 minutes before the actual main card started. And so I didn't see that bit happen until the show began. Once I saw that he was laid out, I'm like, crap, the Creeds are losing this. But I would have thought it'd been Gallus winning, if not.
Oh, was the idea that
Brothers.
Damon Kemp laid him out?
Maybe.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know.
I'll be honest, I didn't even see the Roderick Strong bit.
I mean, it's literally just there's a group of people around him as he's laying, unconscious. And
is Kemp just fucking tired of all these guys? I don't blame him.
That seems to be the case. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the AEW locker room here, man.
Oh my goodness. Wow. So then, Briggs and Jensen are the first eliminated from this match, looking for their finish. Instead, Pretty Deadly pulls Briggs out of the ring, and then that leads to Jensen going up top. Mark Coffey trips him up. Like he just grabs onto the rope and Jensen falls over. And then Wolfgang and Mark Coffey hit their finish. Briggs and Jensen eliminated. Unfortunately, Gallus is the next team eliminated. Creed's hit. That Doomsday Cannonball was awesome.
Oh, that was sick. Yeah, that was awesome.
Then Julius follows with the sliding clothesline on Wolfgang. Gallus eliminated. But then towards the finish of the match, Gallus and Briggs and Jensen, they're brawling, and that brawl carries out to ringside. And security is all there trying to break it up. It's a mess. And so the ref had to slide out of the ring to count a pinfall, and he gets kind of sandwiched between this brawl and the ring, so we got a ref bump.
Yeah, right.
And so Julius is set up for the sliding clothesline. Kit Wilson gets to the ring with the chair. Well, Damon Kemp gets in, and as Wilson's about to approach Julius, Kemp spears him. And Julius is like, hey,
thanks, dude.
Thanks for that. He turns his back to go for the sliding clothesline. Kemp picks up the chair, hits Julius with it, follows with a backbreaker, puts the ref back in the ring, and Elton Prince did a good job of selling this moment.
Yeah.
Trying to take it all in and comprehend what happened, and then covers Julius to get the win. Pretty Deadly unified champs.
Yeah. They were the last on my list of people.
Well, no, Briggs and Jensen would have been the last on my list as potential winners for this match.
Yeah, no, I
then Pretty Deadly.
I haven't had them, but Pretty Deadly.
Yeah,
they would have been third for me because they walked in with the UK titles. They seem to like those guys. They're featured a lot, and yeah, but no, good for Pretty Deadly. That's cool. They're now 2-time NXT champions.
Yeah,
and one of the longest reigning NXT UK champions.
I think the second longest. Yeah, I think Gallus still has the record for longest.
400 some odd days.
400 something days. Yeah.
Yeah. After that, we had the women's triple threat match: Meiko Satomura versus Blair Davenport versus NXT champion Mandy Rose. This was a lot of fun. This was really, really good stuff. I hope Meiko sticks around. I have no idea if somebody, I think she's around our age, maybe a little bit younger, and uprooting. I don't know if that's something she'd be interested in. I think I'm just bracing myself for her not being there. I hope to God she is. The idea of her in feuds on main roster, which is where she should be, Asuka, any of the horsewomen. I mean, God, could you imagine Charlotte versus Meiko Satomura?
It'd be amazing.
Oh man, Bianca. Oh, gosh.
Sasha comes back. She wants a match with Meiko. So.
Yeah. That'd all be absolutely outstanding.
Yep.
But in the end, Mandy Rose, who got sort of like a extended entrance as it followed her in her car as she gave her keys to the valet/security guard, comes in and then hits them both. Blair sidestepped a knee from Mandy, an attempt, rolls her up. Meiko breaks it up with Scorpio Rising, like on both of them. It was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then she goes to cover Blair. Mandy hits them both with a running knee, and then she covers Blair for the win. It was a good match.
It was, and the finish was really creative. It was pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. After that, we had a match for the NXT Women's Tag Titles. Doudrop and Nikki ASH taking on Kaden Carter, Katana Chance. Toxic Attraction. Gigi and JC come out ringside as Doudrop's about to hit a superplex on Kaden Carter. So Nikki just goes right after him. Wrecking ball drop kick. Dives off the apron, splash, brawls with him out to the floor. While all that's happening, Carter escapes the superplex. Chance kicks Doudrop, and then Carter power bombs her off the second rope, and then they hit their finish to get the win. And the timing on this was really good. So Nikki realizes what's happening. She makes a dash for the ring and dives in, and as she's diving, JC Jane grabs her leg as the ref is counting the pin, so Nikki can't break up the pinfall.
Yeah. After that, we had Tyler Bate. Tyler Bate's not our champion.
Tyler Bate's not our champion.
Braun Breaker is our champion. Tyler Bate versus Braun Breaker. They did a really terrific. We mentioned this. Tyler Bate, he was walking through the halls of NXT, and they were projecting all the former championship matches and stuff. And it was very nice. It was very lovely for the big, strong boy.
It was really well done. There is a nice bit of symmetry with him being the first and last champ. Just been cool if he had won this bout, but it was an awesome match, really awesome match.
Absolutely.
The finish of this was before the finish, Tyler had already hit his finish. Tyler driver, Braun kicks out of that. Braun hit his finish, the press power slam. Tyler kicked out of that. No, he didn't kick out. He put his foot in the bottom rope because Braun hit it too close to the ropes.
Yeah, he was right.
Rookie mistake.
Oh, yeah. Not
For the most part, he's over the rookie mistakes, but always wants a match. He makes a rookie mistake. So Braun is setting up for a spear. Tyler counters with a knee, hits bop and bang. Looking for a Tyler driver. Braun escapes. Braun's looking for the press power slam. Tyler reverses that into a roll-up. Braun kicks out. Tyler's doing the comeback or lariat thing, and Braun counters with the spear to get the win.
Yeah.
Really fun bout.
Yeah, super fun. We have one item on the Raw preview. Bobby Lashley is going to battle The Miz in a United States title steel cage match. Boy, Adam Pearce really seems to hate The Miz.
Seems that way.
Oh, my God.
Definitely
that's going to be good.
Yeah.
We're going to answer questions over at the Friendo Club TV channel. I'll probably get that video up tomorrow because I'm going to see if I can do a reactions video today on, MJF's return or something.
It's too bad we didn't watch the CM Punk's Scrum Live. That would have been a hell of a reaction video there.
Oh, my God. It'd just be us doing that.
I know.
Clutching pearls.
I know.
How dare he say those things?
It's like, did he just say that?
What the fuck? Why is his voice modulated? It was so funny. It encapsulated the awkwardness of that media scrum so great to have their microphones wonky.
Yeah, it sounded like everybody's voice was pitched down. It was like the audio was running slow.
Yeah, because at one point, Izzy from the Hot Tag, the girl that does this, so she got on there. She sounded like she was 40 years old. I was dying laughing at that one because he was very nice to her. He was like, "Hey, Izzy, I'm a big fan. Go ahead. I'm sorry if I was being scary." And she's like, "Hey, Punk, how you doing?" Yeah. I'm like, "Oh, Izzy's a 3-pack a day gal now, huh?" Oh, yeah. Oh, that was funny. This fucking idiot Hangman Page. Oh, this muffin's so good. Oh, man, that was funny stuff.
That was funny.
Anyways, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. If you're watching us on YouTube, do us a huge favor. Hit that like button, the subscribe button, the little notify bell after it. If you're listening to this in the audio realm, leave us a rating, a review, or a comment. It really does help grow Going in Raw. Thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.